So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Fantastic. So I think we all know we all belong to contract lifecycle management team, and what I'll do today is quickly I'll just walk what exactly is contract. And most of you know, but I just wanted to quickly walk through a few the stakeholders and what is the object that we have and those couple of things. I'm sorry, I still have a bad throat, but let me know if I'm too fast or if you don't understand this. Please stop me. All right, so we all know our solution is, we all know that, I think most of us know that we use Conga, managed packaged. That's the solution that we are using right now. And typically CLM has, like a few phases, right? If let's go back to the life cycle, right? Contract creation, negotiation, approvals, execution, management, and archival. These are the few, steps or life cycle for the contract management. And we all know we use Conga. And quickly I'll go, the way I did is like I just put two buckets, right? The way I've divided this is like, basically we have the agreement object. And what are the teams we support? We support the partners, legal, and the reseller. And I think we have other partners. Nicole, I didn't add that as of now because we've not done great work, right? Like the CSG and all that I've not added at this point of time because I didn't have a lot of information, but further we can provide more updates on that as we go further. But we do have CSG and we have not implemented anything. That's the reason you don't see anything out here in the slide. But I'll just take a moment here to explain what exactly, what are we working on? We work on the agreement object, anything that touches with the agreement object that falls under CLM purview. And anything, let's say the Q2C team or CO team is trying to consume the agreements, they will be upstream or downstream to us. If you look at, this is basically this is the CLM team. And we have the dependencies, right? Q2C, COA, and EDI and EHS. The way we have dependencies is like, for example, once agreement is created, right? And then Q2C team, normally we call them as upstream because they take some data from us and while converting the codes and everything. And similarly, we call COs downstream because they consume the default contracts and, the default agreements and convert to default contracts. That's the reason we call it as a dependencies. And this is the foundation is Aptus, Conga, and the basic on org632. Any questions so far?
Deepika, it's Anu here. Can you go back to the screen? Sorry, I can't see the screen now. In here, what do you mean? Can you expand on global privacy, CSI, and agreement export, what we are doing there?
So, I basically, these are two different projects that we have done last year. So these are more specific project related. The reason why I put here is like, I just wanted to walk through what we have done previously, right? When I say global privacy CSI, it's an independent project. We help TMP, right? Because TMP doesn't have direct access to the contracts. Technically, if you talk, we'll say contracts. So what we did for them is we built a data hub for them with the help of MuleSoft EI, where they can, they used APIs and extracted data from the agreement and AG and AGMs, and the Llama data. And all the data was moved to TMP in the S3 buckets. And they built a data hub, and that data hub is visible to the customers now. So this is one implementation done.
Is this to extract the clauses and like a hyperforce related type of data?
Perfect. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah, that's about that. And then agreement export is again a small. Sorry, I think somebody has a hand raised, but yeah, I'll take that later. Let me do this probably. Give me 1 second. Yeah, and other one. What I meant by agreement export, it's again a small utility tool that we built for the legal team. The reason why I put this in the legal is it falls more, it's more MSAs, and we did this work for, so I'll come back a little later what legal really means, but we did this work for MSAs, since Anu knows it. We did this work for MSAs and NDAs and PSAs. That's the reason I put this under the legal bucket. So we built a small utility tool for the legal managers and other teams because they were not able to do the OCR search. We had the OCR search, right? Like put the document and the content review and everything, exporting the agreements to Google Drive. So that was a utility tool that we put for them. It's not majorly used, but it has a great impact for the legal team. And the Llama, I think most of us know it's kind of a new. We have been listening to this Llama, right? That's not the project. Is it clear, Anu, or?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Maya, please go ahead.
So the approval, so is it managed package by Conga called advanced approval, or are we using the native Salesforce approval?
It's a Conga approvals we are using. I mean, again, I'll come a little more deeper into that, but right now, yes, it's all Conga approvals we are using. It's a common package for CPQ and CLM. Awesome. I'll go to the quick list of stakeholders here. And like I said, basically CLM is divided into 4. I know, Nicole, we put a hold to Supplier 360, if I remember. Right? We didn't do any work for them. That's the reason it's not there. But we've been supporting legal, partners, reseller, and CSG teams. Legal is more about, direct sales, basically like directly working with the customers. It's more about the agreements, NDAs, MSCs, and PSCs, CLAs, UPRAs, all those fall under legal agreements. It's more majorly the legal contracts. And the point of contact, no problem, sir. And the point of contact for us is normally Dorothy is the go-to person for the requirements. She does prioritize most of the requirements, and she has been the point of contact. And Leo is a executive stakeholder for this. The next one is the partners. So like I said, agreement object is divided into different record types, right? In legal, it's again different record types like MSA, NDA, and PSA. And similarly, partner is another record type. Reseller is another record type. And CSG, I don't think so we have anything yet, but we will be implementing in future for the professional services team. So what partners does is, it's again agreement generation and, archival, like we spoke earlier, creating a document, generating document, and archival, that's another area. And mostly we work with Daniel Nosheti and Charles Bell, and they are the major key stakeholders. Any decisions that we have, it comes to them. And from a business perspective, YKH would be the more resourceful. Sorry, Ramesh, was there a question?
No, sorry. I was just asking, how come like revenue ops or revenue is not listed here?
Okay. So I think the part of it, right? For example, the sales ops and RevOps, yeah, I think that's a good question. But I think the approvals go through them, right? Like the RevOps and all that. But yeah, we're not directly working for them, but through partners or through resellers, we are working for them, right? So we are procuring the approvals and everything.
No, I guess what I meant is like there's a lot of processes in revenue where we are not using CLM. Yeah. And I'd like to use that going forward. I like to see us use that. So even if we don't have it today, but I like to see how we can add that for the future state. That's where I was going.
Yeah, Ramesh, RevOps is listed as a stakeholder in the matrix that Dorothy's been working on. I just posted it in the chat. I think probably we either need to find a place to represent them here or keep like a secondary list where they're represented.
Sure.
It's good feedback. Right. Where can we park this feedback so that you can kind of keep going, Deepika? Should we just put our feedback in the chat, or is there somebody taking notes?
Hey, I'm taking notes. I'll just read from the chat and collect that feedback. And I got the last one. Thanks, Seth.
Thank you. Cool.
Yeah, and reseller, mostly we work with Deborah Gallagher and Sally Ann. It's again, generating the reseller contracts for the Salesforce partner team. And professional services, Jim Maron has been, point of contact. Maybe Nicole can add more information here because we have not done a lot of work with them, but it's more about professional services, working with professional services. It's more about them. Any questions on this? Maybe I'll give more detail, like once we go more in the product, like more with the product managers meeting, probably I'll give more details like who will be your point of contact for each and every area that I list out. But it's in an overview, like in a high level, like 1,000 feet high level. These are the stakeholders and POCs. That's just information.
Deepika, one quick question. So I heard we also do PSAs, right? MSA, PSA, and NDA. The PSA falls under customer success and professional services, or does it fall under legal or corp affairs?
Right now, it falls under legal. Yeah, it's part of the legal process itself.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. All right. So if there's no questions here, then I'll move on to quickly the architectural diagram. I mean, I'm not really good at this.
Yeah, just a basic question. What is the difference between the partners and resellers?
So partner, I think, and I have this more detailed, Funny. Once we go down, I'll walk through that.
Sure.
Just more examples, and we'll do a little bit more deep diving into that.
Sure.
And this is a quick architecture. I think Gopal can explain more about this, but this slide just for your reference, right? Like, access agreement is the object, and these are also related objects, right? That we use, clauses, templates, XAuthor, and how coding becomes upstream, and where we store the documents. So it's more. And then for partners, we have the PPC and PCCT. It's just a reference diagram. Whenever if you have some time, just come back and just take a look at this. But I think Gopal can explain more technically about this diagram, the relationships and everything. But our major object is access agreement object. That's been one of the everything lies there, and these are related objects like templates, XAuthors, and clauses and everything. They're more related objects to this particular object. Anything that you want to add, Gopal, here on the diagram?
Yeah, I mean, the CMS that we are showing here, right, that is actually the content document version, right? So normally we store all the documents in the notes and attachment. Only the documents which are archived, right, finally, I mean, that sits in the in this content document version. And then the XAuthor tool is basically the tool used by business to create templates or do redlining and all. And then I mean, for document generation, we basically call the Aptus merge service. So,
yeah, we probably when we go to a technical session, we can go more detail, but just wanted to put this information out here quickly.
No, Ramesh, I mean, only the documents which are archived, right? I mean, once the agreement is fully signed, then the status of the agreement changes to archive, and which is when only the signed one goes into files. And other all documents, right, which is in negotiations and all, I mean, they are in notes and attachment.
Got it, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll take maybe we will take those questions, and I think maybe on the technical sessions, probably Gopal or Lata can drive more, more into the technical aspects of it. And I think this is my favorite place. Legal has been my expertise of area. Where I did work for almost 2.5 years on the legal side. Like I said, CLM is divided into, not really divided, but the partners that we support is legal, partners, and reseller. So legal we normally call as commercial legal or LC ops. And what they do is basically like they most of the work is to just help the AEs and everybody to generate contracts, or sometimes they themselves help contracts, and they work with attorneys and make sure all the clauses and everything is properly documented. And that's the major area is to help generating the contracts, helping them archiving the contracts, helping them maintain the contracts, and going back and looking at the language and making sure all the approvals are captured correctly on the agreement. That's been their major scope of work. And I think they definitely have some pain points. They keep talking to me often that they want to have self-service in place. That is what the Project Jonas is doing right now. And also they need more automation right now. The approvals and all have, the approvals for commercial legal or legal offices, commercial legal is different because it happens via a deal support request. It doesn't happen. We don't use native the Aptus approvals. We route it through DSAR, and that's how we manually the negotiation happens between the attorneys, and the final documents get signed, and that gets uploaded to DSAR, and that document comes back to the agreement. So it's been like a tedious process for the LSS members, and they've been asking more automation on that area. And probably said, like I'm saying, this is one area that when you take up next gen, this is some area that you might need to automate, and that might help them a lot, in reducing their timelines and making them much faster. They can deal negotiation can also increase, because I think MSA takes 45 days to negotiate. My understanding is, like, what I heard is one MSA takes 45 days to negotiate, and if those couple of things, like the approvals and those things gets reduced, those, if they become automated, I think we can save a lot of time for negotiating and those steps. And yeah.
Hey, Deepika.
Yes.
How many MSAs do we do annually? Do we have those stats somewhere? If not, that's okay.
Yeah, I think yes. Right until I think we have 575K starting from 2010. I think I have rough numbers, but I can definitely just I can find that out for you, Seth. I think what I heard from Mike last time is so far they have 575K agreements since 2010.
Yeah, if you have any like data analysis that shows the volume numbers, like number of transactions, number of people involved in those transactions, that'd be super helpful for us.
Hey Steph, I have a deck that I'll put in the parking lot notes that I'm taking. There's a deck that has some analytics around that, and the cost as well surrounding those transactions, specific to MSAs. Perfect. But I'll link everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nicole. And okay, I think this is an area where I see there's more scope for automation or making things easy for especially the legal team, because I've seen them, I've heard them, and definitely we didn't have a bandwidth. So, but if for the next gen CLM, I think addressing those questions will definitely help them to solve a lot of their pain points. I'll go to the next one. So when I talked about commercial legal agreements, right? Like I said, MSAs, NDAs, PSAs, like basically agreement object is divided into record types. And like I said, I mean, the reason why we put these three together is because they are mainly, they're like, most of them are, I think almost 63% is MSA, and 32% is NDA, and 5% is PSA, and I think 2% is UPRA. We have another record type called UPRA, and there's another record type called SILA. I think SILAs are not really high, they are like low in volume, but I think majority of the work goes around MSAs and I think NDAs.
What was the two percentages that you gave for MSA and NDA?
2% is for UPRA, I think.
Yeah, you said 5% for PSA, but then you gave some numbers for NDA and MSA.
MSA is 63%. Most of the agreements that we have in places, most of them are MSAs, but they're 63%. NDA is 32%, and I think PSA is I think around 5%. 5%.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we all know, like, the first agreement is normally NDA. Normally, before we onboard any customer, we start with a non-disclosure agreement, and I think previously this was not in place, but I think now, yes. Oh, thank you. So I think previously this was not in place, but I think now, like, I think probably from recently they started standardizing a lot of the agreement process. So I think if there's an older MSA, then we'll continue using that, and if there's nothing, then start with an NDA. And initially it was like master subscription agreement. Right now we removed the term, and then we moved to main subscription agreement. This is an agreement which has everything, your contractual terms, your licenses, and everything will be covered under this. Your exhibits and your addendums and everything will be part of the MSA document. And we have negotiated, non-negotiated MSAs. And I think,
Yeah, Deepika, quick question. So I thought every customer has to sign NDA. Is that not true?
it is now, Anu, but initially, like, when we first started, we didn't have this process in place. Like, let's say, I think you heard about click-throughs, remember?
Mm-hmm.
So click-through is a potential customer. Like, let's say I want to leverage Salesforce, and I go in and I say, I accept. Then a potential customer gets created. It is a click-through agreement. Eventually, when I decide I wanted to, use this product, then I become a real customer. That my click-through becomes an MSA. Subtype of, it changes to different type. And
So-
click-through is standard agreement. So when somebody has a click-throughs, normally then, they don't follow the NDA process.
Is a click through from a record type perspective? Is it a different record type or is it the same?
It's a subtype. On probably that said, like
So
on
it's an NDA subtype?
No, it's an MSA subtype.
MSA subtype.
Yes.
So every customer in Org 62 would either have like a NDA or MSA subtype called click-through.
Not NDA. Anu, I would say MSA.
MSA, okay.
They might have NDA or MSA, but either of these one document is must. Let's say if the customer doesn't have an MSA, MSA, then they'll start with an NDA. Like you're onboarding for the first time, fresh, right? I mean, then you'll have an NDA. But if somebody comes from a different sources, leads and all that different sources, then they'll start with a click-through MSA, and that becomes your main agreement. And I think now they mandate it, like I think what I heard from legal is like now they're making it mandate that, you should have NDA in place.
Okay. So I think maybe I don't know how, like I know we have a lot of duplicate accounts in Org 62, right? I think that's another problem statement probably. Where does the actual MSA NDA for that? There are 14 Amazon accounts. Which account has that information? Probably is a problem statement for them.
44 MSAs we have for Amazon now.
And the one that's governing is the...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we're putting a logic right now to determine the governing MSA, right? So that's one of the Llama initiative.
Yeah. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, like I said, like either one of the document is must, but I think going forward they're making a little bit more implementing, a little bit more strict, and they wanted to have NDA in place. And other reason I think that I heard from legal team is that it takes a lot of time to negotiate, to have two different documents, and they wanted to reduce that deal cycle, and that's the reason they either like go with MSA or NDA. And most of our documents are perpetual; they don't have an end date, right? And that's the reason, like they keep ongoing, and that's the reason you see 44, 55 MSAs. I think Amazon is the biggest customer, which has 44 MSAs in place so far.
When you say 44, are there iterations on one MSA, or like having like each account having like an MSA?
Prior to Llama, each account had MSA, if you remember, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But because of Llama, we are having one MSA in place. But like every affiliate, every customer will have an MSA associated. So that's how it has. It is the biggest customer I heard. I mean, maybe things might have changed. I know it's probably I'm talking like 3 months back to them. Things might have changed now, but what I heard from team at that point is Amazon is the highest customer.
Got it.
Yes, Manisha.
So Deepika, does it mean like that the Amazon, take an example of Amazon. So Amazon is the parent company. It could have multiple subsidiaries or childs, and each child will have their own MSA. That's why it is rounding up to the 40 and whatever, like multiple MSAs at the parent level, group level.
Okay.
Okay.
We have done a lot of iterations of MSCs also, because sometimes legal bypasses certain things, and they have the older one still exist. Technically, at any point of time there should be one MSA to a particular account. So it's a validation, but sometimes it bypasses and there's an extra MSA as well, but it doesn't happen too often. But always one account will have only one MSA. That's a validation we've set up in the system. And and NDAs, and if you all know, it's before you onboard, you need to have terms and everything, and it's your non-disclosure agreement basically. And professional services, any services that you're providing to your customers, those.
Deepika, I mean, I know that right now the CLM is creating NDAs for legal users, but not for the partners. So for every document, what you just mentioned here, is it for the specific business users, or is it for all partners, resellers, and legal? We need to have that.
Funny, did I lose you, or is my internet banned?
No, can you hear me?
Yeah. What was your last statement? Sorry, I missed that.
The question is is the NSA is meant for specific users, or or is it for both partners and resellers right now?
Yeah. So I think it's MSAs on an account level, right? For me, for example, let's say it's an account level, meaning like basically MSAs for direct sales. There are direct and indirect sales, right? Like customers are your direct sales, and partners and resellers are your indirect sales. So MSAs are for your direct sales. So account level, you'll have an MSA, and partner can be part of that account as well, or it can be direct customer also. But right now we are not really creating MSAs and everything for customers. It goes via partner agreements. They have a different type of agreement, like partner and reseller agreements. But whatever these agreements we're seeing, these are directly for your customers, like Amazon, Bed Bath Beyond, or Pepsi. For those customers, they are your direct customers, right? Like for those customers, these all exist in place.
Okay.
Thank you. And I think the last one is PSA. Like I said, any professional services we are providing, we will be providing via professional services through the particular agreement. And again, I talked about SELA agreement. SELA is like the way I put it is, it's more like it's a basket, basically, where you have apples, everything, like it's a fruit basket basically. Like it doesn't have, like, they buy like a blanket, and you can swap it to, you don't have to specify like I'm buying these many products and these many things, right? You can buy like a blanket, and you can shuffle, or you can swap it with your affiliates and everything. So there's no limit on that. They're basically large enterprise customers. These are like Pepsi, for example. SELA is one of the biggest SELA customer, and Amazon, like we talked, and they're very few in number, because not every customer is a larger customer, right? So they're very few in number. And other agreements we have in place are like UPRA, Unified Pilot Research Agreement. What that means is, like Salesforce has 3 different releases. Remember, summer, winter, and these releases. So what we do is we request customers to participate in the like, they're just like before we release to market, we request partners to participate in this particular program, and if they nominate themselves, we have an agreement for them, and that agreement type is called UPRA agreement. So, and this is a $0 SKU. It doesn't have any bill associated with that. It's not, but I think it'll help for the it's more like product purpose. Yeah, and I think and every agreement is again negotiated, non-negotiated, and what that means is, like, non-negotiated is that, like I said, click-throughs are non-negotiated. The standard agreements, their template is already built. You terms doesn't change. They agree to the terms and conditions, and they say, I'm comfortable, and that's how they take that. That's non-negotiated. Negotiated, like, let's say I sent out, for example, I am a customer, like an AE and a customer is working, and certain rules, you don't agree, and you can always go back and work with you do negotiation on that, and those are negotiated agreements. I think we'll look in more detail probably when we go in detail, like when we do a quick walkthrough of that. But my understanding is 95% of the MSAs are online. Only 5% of the negotiation happens here. And I think probably every day 112 new click-through agreements gets created. That's the stats that I got from the legal team. Yeah. Any questions on these?
When you said 90% are negotiated online, what do you mean by that?
95%. What I mean by that is, like, most of your documents are non-negotiators, like meaning like it's a direct, like customer doesn't want any negotiations. Basically, they're okay with the document that we put out there. Like normally there is a template, right, for every region. When we do walkthrough, maybe you'll understand a bit more, but there is standard templates.
Are you talking specifically about MSA or all record types?
No, just the MSA. I'm talking about just the MSA.
So 90 to 95% of MSAs happen online without a negotiation.
Correct.
And then 5 to 10% are negotiated.
No, I don't say that they happen online. What I mean by that is like directly, like, let's say customer is onboarded and they're okay with the terms and conditions that we provide them, right? Like, and they don't do any negotiations. I mean, we just send out an agreement and we go. It happens different ways, right? Like A sends out an agreement. There's no negotiation. It's a flat. Like, you send out and they're okay and they sign it and send it back. But 5% of the customers, they negotiate on terms or conditions or, the rates or anything on the licenses.
Gotcha.
But 5% of the work is more on negotiations and approvals and all that.
So that's when the whole XAuthor, redlining, all these tools get used for those purposes, like 5% scenarios.
Absolutely. And I think, Anu, this is very interesting. I did talk to a couple of attorneys, while working with them. So I think only LSS team is using the XAuthor for redlining. What these attorneys are doing, right? They don't use the XAuthor. They directly, once you start generating the agreement, then you have the Word document. When negotiation happens, it's a Word document, right? If it's not negotiated, then it's a PDF. So what they do is this AEs take out this particular, Word document and they send it out to the law attorneys and they send out to the LSS team, and the LSS team, they send it out to their attorneys. And what happens is then customer and attorney directly work. So it all happens via emails. There's no XAuthor or there's nothing involved out there. It completely happens via Word document. And eventually customer agrees, they like all the emails happen back and forth. And the last document, right, let's say version 2, 3, 4 of that particular document, it gets saved, they put this in the DSAR and the attorney send it back to the LSS team and they go back and, they put it on the agreement object. They archive in the notes in the attachment section. So that's how it is happening today. It's all manual. I think very rare, certain DLOps, LSS, those are the ones who are using the XAuthor. I think the usage of XAuthor is very minimal.
Is it because of the attorneys not able to use the tools? Is it because how the XAuthor works not friendly, or is it because it's a problem with the tool, or is it just they are not adapting to the process?
Honestly, I don't have 100% answer to it, Anu, but I think I've heard it's more enablement process and it's more like, they're not adapting, and I think they prefer their own style, right? Like the document. But I don't have an answer to it. Maybe I'll go back and check what exactly is the reason. That's a good question. I didn't ask them that point of time. I said, they just showed me what they're doing. I think that is what I felt. I didn't ask so many questions to them. So probably.
So one follow-up question. So if they don't use the tool, right, how does the clauses get generated? How can we report on it?
So see, the clauses and all, again, the legal team does. That's what I'm saying. That's a manual.
Oh, they manually go through the document, what changed, and they manually create them.
They update through the redlining. Again, LSS comes back, right? Like, for example, Christine Smith is one of the LSS ops. She comes back and she looks at the document. She reviews that, like, on the Word document, you have all this redline. I mean, technically redlining, but not redlining, right? So you have all the comments.
Okay.
She comes back to the clauses and updates on the templates, and she do a new check-in and check-out, and, she generates a document. And, she archives.
Somebody is doing it later in the stage.
Exactly. Somebody from LSS is doing it manually. That's what I'm saying, lot of work for, LSS teams. They're really wanting us to do some good automation, that can help everybody.
Thank you.
So, just to make sure I'm clear. So does the legal team get involved through a deal support request? Is that what you said? Did you say DSR?
Yes. So I think attorneys get involved via deal support request, right? What happens is, let's say I'm an AE and I generated a document, and then what they do is they mention LSS team members and they create a deal support request, and then they request LSS.
And they do this. Sorry, you have to go slow. I'm sort of puzzling this together. So they're on the account page,
Yes.
or they're on the so they're on the account page, and they're
on the Opti page and
Opti page.
Yes, and they say create an MSA button, and they click the button and they fill certain fields. And initially, if it's negotiation, right, then they generate a document, and that comes as a Word document. That's the first step.
Yeah.
And
then let me make sure I got it right in my head. I'll probably gloss over some stuff. So they have a Word doc that's generated in the beginning, and then effectively they move to a manual process of exchanging file attachments between lawyer and customer.
Yes.
Okay. So lawyer, customer, however many times, and they probably name something _final or at the end. And then they take that document and put it back into the system and then make notes in the DSR.
That's right. Yeah. The DSR gets approved, once what lawyer does is he says, okay, these are my final terms, and then they upload the document in the DSR. In the DSR, there are certain approvals, right? RevRec, depending upon certain conditions, the revenue, or depending upon different scenarios, it goes through different levels of approvals, and they approve it. Once it gets approved, it comes back to LSS again, and that's when LSS comes back to the agreement object, and they upload on that particular record the final document. They archive it. Basically, they go in, they upload the document, and they click archive button, and that document gets archived and gets stored in the content library.
When you say LS, you're saying who does that? LSS?
LSS. I mean, LS, Legal Shared Services.
Legal Shared Services. This is whose group is that?
Sarah Ann's group.
Sarah Ann's group. Okay. And is there a compliance problem with this? Is compliance concerned about this manual? Because what if you accidentally have version 2 of a 3-version document named as final and upload it?
We can always void that agreement, right? So then I can create a new one again.
So are there open compliance issues? Is this a manual control from a SOX perspective?
I'll go back and take this question, Seth, but I think I've not heard anybody saying about it. And yeah, I've not heard anybody talking about SOX issue, but definitely I'll take this back and check with.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make one comment. In terms of the compliance and if there are any SOX issues, from what I've seen over the last 6 or so months, is it's a manual control, and SOX hasn't had a chance to go through the full end-to-end process to be able to make recommendations or compliant issues that they've seen thus far. It's been pretty much controlled by legal ops specifically. They don't have any SCs assigned to their process, which
who's our
red flag to me.
Red flag, yeah. Who's our contact over there, Nicole? Do you have a name?
For legal ops, I haven't seen a contact for SOX, but we do have one for partner and reseller, which is I can put the name in the notes.
There's a name. It looks like you've got Catherine Chen, Ronald Wog, and Sarah Hansen. And,
exactly, and that's specifically for partner and reseller agreements, not for MSAs and NDAs and PSAs.
Gotcha. Okay. Deepika, this is super helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So I think I know. So this is about legal, and I can talk a lot about legal because that's my area. So a lot of information I can talk about it. But yeah, and as part of legal, we have done the Llama project is one of the legal project. Like I talked, it's one of the really good initiatives. Where you will be able to associate agreements to multiple accounts, right? So that reduces a lot of negotiation time, because now the customer doesn't have to negotiate every time, right? Because you could reuse existing MSA and attach it to any specific account that has similar dance or global company exception. So that reduced a lot of manual efforts and a lot of time. That did save a lot of time for legal ops. Yeah, that's about legal agreements, but we'll talk more when we do a quick, flows and everything. But is there anything else that you want to talk about, that you want to hear, or any questions on this? Yeah, no, we have everything. So actually, I didn't put in a slide because we wanted to do a walkthrough of the flows as well, all the process flows, lucid chats, everything we have in place.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. And we'll go to the next one. I think, so Fanny, I think to your questions, right? A difference between partners and resellers, right? I think I'm not really 100%. I don't have a lot of answers for that, Fanny, but because I'm not expertise, but I'll try to say as much as I know about this. So I think when I said indirect sales, that's where I was referring to partners and resellers. Nicole, please add in, because I don't have a lot of knowledge on partners and resellers, but whatever I have, I can walk through.
Okay.
Awesome, thank you. So I think, like I said, partners, we have different record type, like I said, and most of them are DLOPs, like the ISVs and that programs we support. And resellers, we have fulfillment reseller and we have the cloud reseller. And Nicole, can you help me the difference between the partner and the reseller? Do you know that?
Yeah. So just let's take a step back really quickly. Reseller operations, they primarily use the reseller agreement type, and they have two main functions. That's the fulfillment reseller, which is like providing procurement, and then they also have the cloud reseller, which is basically any tier 1 or tier 2 support that's provided by a reseller that's selling a Salesforce product. So that's on the reseller side. And then when we get over to the partner side, they have kind of two pillars. The first pillar being in that consulting, implementation, and GSI strategic work. And that's where we talk about like the app exchange. If a customer was to create something for like an app or anything like that would be held on the app exchange, they'd have to go through a process of getting things approved. And that's where they would use the partner agreement type. And that falls under, as well as ISV. So very similar, ISV and OEMs, that's also on the partner agreement type.
Yeah, they're the program types. Basically, these are ISV program and then OEM, depending upon the program type. We create the apps, and they're the independent applications on the platform.
Correct.
So there's two record types
Yes.
that this slide represents. One is the reseller record type. The other is the partner record type.
Yes, correct. The ISV and the are the partner record types, and the fulfillment and the cloud is the reseller record type.
Are there subtypes in each of those types?
No, they are program enrollments.
These are the program types, basically what kind of enrollment we are doing. Depending upon that, the new app get created on the platform, if it's an ISV or OEM.
And maybe when we do like the hands-on stuff, we can go into setup and show those record types and subtypes. Sometimes it's a little hard to make that connection just from one slide.
Yeah, I think we will take a break here and quickly look at the flows for the legal, and then next session we'll cover more on the partner side. Is that okay? Since we have almost covered the legal, so just quickly go over the few of the on the overview from the system wise, and then tomorrow next session we'll take it off on the partner side. Yeah, because we didn't prepare. We'll prepare the next slides. We'll put together the partners tomorrow when we do it next session. Saiti, do you want to take it over to the demo quickly?
Sure, Deepika. You can unshare your screen.
Absolutely. Let me do that. Did I stop? No. Yeah. I did. Saiti. Thank you. And any questions, just please flag, and we'll try to answer them.
Yeah, Deepika, do you want to explain?
Absolutely. Give me 1 second, Saiti. Let me just move my screen. All right. So I think, legal agreements gets the triggering point for MSAs and PSCs is opportunity, and NDA would be from the account. And yeah, so this is there's a button called create MSA button. Perfect. Like we talked, right? I think this is Rhonda said this is a new functionality. The banner that you see, negotiate threshold banner. It's one of the very interesting functionality that we delivered because it went through 67 revisions. Just the banner, the banner that you see, like until the markets, right, from before to the markets. This specific static banner went through 67 revisions, and finally it settled down. It got settled here on this format and everything. And I think Nicole, help me if I'm wrong, but by putting this banner, we are saving a lot of time and as well as revenue, right? Because no AE will start creating a negotiated document. They only should start the negotiation only if the AOE of that particular account is $250K, right? $1,000.
Yep, that's correct. And this is an effort to decrease the amount of negotiated MSAs that the legal team has to do. So the projected kind of statistics around this is it'll take down the negotiated MSAs around 40 to 50%. Around, I think it was 2022, it was like 70 AEs to one legal representative. So that's 70 AEs putting through deals that potentially need a negotiated MSA and only having one legal rep to be able to help assist in negotiating that MSA. And this is kind of industry standard. If you work with any other company, most of the time they have a threshold for negotiated contracts. And right now we didn't have one. So this is something that we're implementing to help reduce the negotiated MSA effort.
Thank you, Nicole. Yeah, I just want to highlight because, I know we did 67 divisions and I was so I was just thinking like, what is this banner really significance? Then I heard like it's lots of ROI and, velocity, acceleration. There's a great amount of achievement on this specific static banner. Thank you, Nicole. Anu, go ahead, please.
Deepika, so this banner is there, but it's not restricting AEs, right? If they want, they can still go through and do it, looks like.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Yeah. Okay. It says you need these approvals before you forward, but yeah. Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Yep, exactly. And it's a soft warning. I think we tried to label it as it's more so a warning sign of, hey, we're not going to do this. They can still go throughout the process, but legal is the main group to kind of enforce this this negotiated threshold banner that we have here. They're the ones that actually decide yes or no if we're still going to negotiate whether it's less than 250K.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, and I think the next one is like if it's we need to like negotiated, non-negotiated. Like I said, negotiated always comes with a document, and non-negotiated it's a final document, right? It's a PDF format. Saiti, can we go with non-negotiated, please? Perfect. Thank you. And then you have the region, right? Depending upon the region, you have the governing law and venue gets populated. These are predefined already. Legal gives us, and then we. So Anu, one question to answer. I know you asked what is out of box, and this is guided contracts. Most of this is via flows. I think flows meaning it's a configuration, right? It's not core or something, I think. But they call it as guided contracts. It's more configuration.
Like a screen flow we have used. Okay, got it.
Yeah, initially we had like a very robust, a lot of code and all that. Then we scrapped it out and we rebuilt this one.
Great.
In 2021, yeah.
So this is something that we built ourselves using Flow Orchestrator.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And are the records that we're inserting into Conga records, or are they our own custom entities?
Yeah, Conga app to subject.
App to subject. And so is that pretty typical, Gopal? for other Conga customers to customize their own workflows for creating documents?
Yeah, I'm not sure on that, but yeah, the Conga package also has the support to create agreements. But I mean, there is some customization on the regions and templates, right? So my understanding is that is why we have created this flow. Yeah. So basically, the Conga, right? I mean, there's a record type, and then the template has a entry of that record type in the template side. So if you are creating a record type, let's say MSA, right? So based on this record type, it will pull the templates, right? But so apart from the record type, we also depend on regions, right? Like AMER would have a different template, and then Europe would have its own templates, right? So it's based on region and record type both. Yeah.
Region and record type. Thank you. That's helpful. Gopal, do we have logical dependencies on the package that could potentially break if they change something in like a package upgrade? Like, are we referencing anything that we need to regression test during upgrade time? I guess that's my question.
Yes, I mean here this flow, this is the flow which we have built, and then finally when we generate the document, right, which is when we actually call the web service method from the package, right? So this flow is basically we enter some details about the agreements, right, like the governing laws, addendum and all, right, and then we choose a template, right, and then finally, we call the service passing the template ID and the agreement record ID that is created here.
So it's an API level integration.
Yes.
It's not
right.
object level. Okay, I got you.
Right.
That's helpful. Thank you.
All right. So so depending upon the region, we have different templates defined. I think Saiti, do you want to quickly go back once quickly and see? Can you pick up other region, like probably a different region, maybe Brazil or something? Anything, Yeah. So certain regions doesn't have the governing and venue and governing entities, and certain regions like AMER has governing entity and venue. So depending upon the region, you have those fields populated. And also templates, like every region has, like I said, these are standard templates, right? Region specific templates we have. And AMER, thank you, Saiti. And these are the external addendums, right? The USLA or DPA, or those are for the HIPAA, you have the BAE and all this. Those are extra addendums for the MSA. And here you can choose a template, whichever template you want, like language-wise. And these are already customized and done by business. Business takes care of these templates. They create and they maintain the templates. And this is auto-generated. Agreement name is auto-generated, and we need to put in the customer full legal name and customer signing contact, because this will come back to us for the e-sign signing for the round trip, for signing the document.
What's the process for the template creation? Is it do they use like a special markdown on their side to include variables, and is that part of the Conga package?
They use XAuthor. Correct me, Gopal, if I'm wrong, but they use XAuthor, and they use the merge fields and templates. XAuthor to upload the templates. They check in and they check out, and they add some merge fields, and that's how they define the templates. They have clauses as well. Maybe we'll do one quick round later on, once we're done with this.
Do we support that with customizations, or is that out of the box?
No, we don't actually. It's out of the box, and business takes care of that. And your point of contact will be Sarmad, and most legal, even for partners or resellers, legal does the customization because they maintain their own playbook, the templates playbook. And your point of contact will be Christine and Sarmad. These are your 2 point of contact. Rachel, 3 point of contacts for any work on the templates.
Okay. I think I have Christine. So Sarmad Salim.
Sarmad Salim, Christine Smith, Rachel Kimberly. Rachel and Christine are from Sarah Ann's team. Sarmad Salim is from Dorothy's team.
Yeah.
LCX.
Yes. Thank you.
And I think it takes a little while for generating a document because I think it's a flow. Is it right, Gopal or Saiti, that it's a flow?
So this particular screen is the app test page.
Yeah.
So you can see this is again a Visualforce page. So the second step, that is generating document, right? It is where we are calling the web service. It's not actually a web service. It's basically a method from the package.
That's a merge service, right? The app merge service, Copa?
Yes, right.
And that page, Gopal, is it Aptus Visualforce page, or is it something we developed? That's the Aptus page, right? The one we just saw.
No, it's our page. It's our Visualforce page.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
We built that, Anu, actually. Even this is our component, right? Gopal, if I'm wrong, this is Aptus
Yes.
component. This also
It's our component, right?
This also we built. We tried doing as much as simple so that, anything that, keep it generalized so that if they want to add any new record types, we made it more easy configuration type. And this is a step where we are choosing the agreement and we are proceeding for the e-sign. Perfect. Yeah. So this is a kind of body that goes to the receives an email.
Deepika, what is the quote? So the quoting process and the quote approval process, is that running parallel to this? Where are we in the sequence of the deal?
I think my understanding is, Seth, we are kind of upstream to the coding, right? Because code creation is possible, but when somebody is converting codes, we should have that particular account should have an active MSA in place, then only the code conversion happens. So that's only dependency I know of. Anu, please go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Finish your.
No, that's the only thought I have said.
Yeah, I think technically, dependency-wise, Seth, I think by the time the code needs to get converted, there should be an active MSA in the system. But more if you're thinking from an AE perspective, right? So once we know this customer, we have an opportunity, they could get the opportunity, right? And then there would be, like, let's just like how we want to do POCs, right? This customer wants to do a POC, but we wanted to kind of have an NDA signed or some MSA, some form of agreement signed. So that might happen. And I think as we get closer to the coding, going through, creating the code configuration, they also start this process because we want to make sure that they kind of agree with the billing terms, net 30, net 60, that happens in this form, right? So I think it's like more of a parallel thing that goes on, but this has to finish first for them to convert the code.
Okay. Parallel but contract is the dependency for a quote.
The agreement, right?
For the agreement.
Signed,
okay. The agreement is the dependency for a quote to be converted.
Right. Yes. Active agreement in the system is the dependency. They need to have an agreement and with some status value of the saying that, yes, this is signed and is active now.
Does the contract have quote lines on it? Or quotes, but, well.
When you contract,
does the document itself have any reference to what the customer is buying?
No, I don't think so, but Deepika.
I think we don't have that information, sir. It's more about what we agreed upon, more the language, right? Like
the language and the terms of the agreement. Okay.
Right.
And there's probably a start date. Does the start date align with the start date that is specified? Is the start date for the contract aligned with the start date of the order? Is there some reference there?
I think they might have something like effective date. As Deepika was saying, these are like perpetual, like they stay forever unless you want to change the terms again.
Effective date, but no end date.
Yeah, I think there's one date
About
called
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah, most MSAs in our system are projected to last for 10 years.
So do we capture some kind of an end date then? Or is it effective date plus 10 years as well, how we kind of...
Well, that if it's negotiated, it could be a different than 10 years. It could be more or less.
I think,
but that's captured in the MSA. But I think from the Hyperforce project, we're trying to use that metadata to link it into Org 62, because right now it's only in the MSA. That date, the end date, the effective date, and the end date.
So this is how it works, right? Like for example, if you choose, there's something called perpetual, right? If you check that checkbox, and you should not put an end date to it. But if you don't choose that field, if you don't check that particular checkbox, then you have to put an end date. System-wise, I'm talking about.
Okay, those are the fields on the agreement record?
Yes, there's something called perpetual, and if you check that, meaning you should not put an end date. If you don't check that, then you have to give an end date.
Okay, and do you think that the end date, does it match with the coding or contract end dates? Or is it more of a free kind of up to the AE to kind of make a decision?
It's a free form because I can input value on it. It lets me put any value in that. But I can go back and check. I know I can talk to somebody from legal and get an answer for you. But normally when we do it, it's a free. I mean, anybody can go and put any date. If you don't choose that particular perpetual, checkbox, you can put any date to that. I mean,
it's not tied to any of the products they're buying. It doesn't tie to any of the end dates to the products they're buying.
That's my understanding, but I'll go back and check on that. I'm just taking notes on that. Yeah. So I think, did you sign the documents, Saiti, or you sending for the counterparty review, right? Okay. So when you create the agreement, it will be when you generate, the status of it. I think status category and status are kind of dependent. Saiti, do you have an option to edit the status category? Yeah, I think we're over time as well, so I didn't realize that. Are we on time or?
Looks like we're over.
Yeah, we are on time, but how long it will take for you, Deepika, for the rest?
We'll quickly run through, probably, or we can continue, we can resume. It's just like to sign up once
10 more minutes?
Yeah, probably just quickly we'll finish off and archive this document, and we can finish off one round trip.
Is everyone okay to extend this call for another 10-15 minutes?
I have to drop off in 5 minutes, but I think it's okay if you guys want to continue.
Sure.
Have seen this piece before, so.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Go ahead, Deepika.
So I think status and status category are dependent, right? So if it's depending upon it has different statuses like active, in effect, those are the certain statuses we depend on mostly. And right now, I think Saiti sent out for a round trip. She's already signed it, right, Saiti?
Yes, Deepika, I have signed it.
Yeah.
So let us wait for 1 second.
Yeah. The moment you sign it, it becomes activated. And then it turns to be archived immediately. It'll take a while after the round trip, it has to sync, it has to go to the envelope and get it signed and then come back. So it'll take a little while to, change the status category. But meanwhile, but let's just talk about certain buttons that we have, right? That comes up.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think terminate button, generating support document is normally, you could generate a document from that. And terminate is I don't know how often we use. I've never seen anybody using this, but it'll terminate your agreement. And the next one is amend. Amend is what amend means is like, you need to amend let's say something has changed on the contract. Let's say the date has changed, or let's say some language has changed. Then what we do is we amend that particular agreement. Nicole, correct me if I'm wrong, because you have most knowledge to this. So when we do an amend, what happens is there's another version of agreement that's created. Right now, it's like 387.0. When you amend, there's another agreement that gets created, and it becomes like .1. The previous agreement becomes like amended, and the new agreement becomes in effect, archived, activated. So right now we see this one, right? I think it's archived, right, Saiti, or it's activated?
Yeah, initially it is activated, now it is archived.
Yeah. So this completes the round trip actually. And when you say archive, then the document goes and stores in the content library. There you go. This is your final document. Can you open it for me, please? Thank you, Saiti. Yeah. So when your document, I think few things that we need to check is like, what is the customer full name, right? Is the customer address correct? And what is the governing agreement, or what is the entity? And then I think legal does these checks, maybe we doesn't have a lot of this information, but legal does go back and check out this information. And you have the internal entity and everything coming up. Like these are all the clauses, they have put. This is the language that I was talking about. What are the SLAs, and what are the charges, and all this language come into this. Terms and licenses. But this is your final output of, this is a final output. Yeah. Do you want to go extremely bottom, last one, Saiti, please?
Yeah.
So this is something, this is where Saiti signature is captured, and, this is Salesforce signature is captured, and this is, everything is done, dusted, and this is sealed now. This is archived. This is your final agreement. And the status is archived.
Right.
Yeah. I think for negotiate, it's different, but this is for the non-negotiated. Any questions on this one? I know we're running out of time, but. All right. Yeah. If there are no questions, then we'll wrap it up and we'll catch up tomorrow. We'll come up with tomorrow then. Are we good? All right. And it's longer time. It's like almost an hour and a half. So it's kind of, I know. All right. If there are no questions, then, we'll catch up tomorrow again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Talk to you tomorrow.